Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to have a look at how the USD minis, in particular the ES, unfolded yesterday, which was Tuesday, March the 17th. And in particular, I'd like to look at this buy setup that nailed the low of the day. It's amazing how many gurus say that you can't buy or sell the high of the day. Or low of the day. Well, it's amazing how many times we can nail the high or low of the day using MTPredictor and some of our other setups. So I just want to have a look in a bit more detail at this particular setup. This was actually an automatic DP buy setup, but the reason I liked it was because of our VSA. And I'll just zoom in a bit and I'll just talk about what the VSA setup is. The VSA setup is indicated by our red bars on our volume indicator here. These indicate bars that have unusually high volume and are basically wide range bars. Now these are, you can see there's quite a few red bars in the volume. Now these are not all applicable. They're only applicable or of interest when they coincide with a price bar that makes new psychological highs or lows. In other words, in particular this bar here at 11.18. Why was this so interesting? Well, this was so interesting because this bar here was a nice wide range bar and made a new low below the 954 bar. In other words, amateur traders would be looking at this and thinking, ah yes, high volume, nice big wide range bar pushing down to new lows for the day. This is a great opportunity to sell. Now most amateur traders basically are on the wrong side of the market, so obviously we want to be doing what the professionals are doing. So what are the professionals doing? Well, the professionals are looking at this and saying, well, okay, is there now an area just below this where we want to be reversing the market? And this is where MTPredictor users have the advantage, is because we have our DP support and resistance areas. Now these are great because they're leading indicators. In other words, they're on the chart in advance. So you'd have already gone back to the prior pivot low, right mouse click, place the decision point on. This decision point support zone would have been on the chart before the market even got there. I cannot stress this enough that these are leading indicators. They're on the chart in advance. So as this market moved down below this prior pivot low on this high volume VSA indication here, you knew that it was entering a zone where support was likely. So what do we do then? We look to the next bar. So after the 11.18 bar, we look to the next bar, which is the 11.21 bar, to see if the follow through is, or the market is failing to follow through. In other words, where the selling is continuing. Now here you can see that we actually got a blue buy bar, so it allowed us to place some risk reward trade setups around this. But because the market failed to follow through, in other words failed to carry on down to new lows, it means that this volume in this particular 11.18 bar is not actually selling volume, it's buying volume by the professionals. In other words, the professionals are taking on long contracts here to then reverse the market and move it up to new highs, and you can see that's exactly what the market did. But of course we have the advantage because we not only know that this is a high volume VSA bar by our VSA indicator, but also we also know the area where the reversal is likely to occur, and that's our DP support zone. Now this does happen to coincide as being an automatic DP buy setup as well. So let's place the analysis on. Right mouse click analysis, and therefore you can see that this indicated that the market was likely to go up to the opposing DP, which was the DP from that pivot. But the most important thing is our correct position sizing that allowed us to enter a trade in and around this bar, which actually was the low of the day, keeping our initial risk small, and if the market got up to that target, then the profit would have been 4.2 times greater than the initial risk, and you see that's exactly what it did later. But the whole reason I like these VSA bars is because you know as professionals entering the market, you know that professionals are likely to make a good strong move in the opposite direction, and you can see that's exactly what unfolded. So in other words, not only are you entering at a good support zone here, you're actually entering with the professionals, in other words going with the professional money as well. So that's why this VSA setup is such a good setup. And as you can see, this actually this DP buy setup here and this VSA setup, they both came in on the same bar. The 11.21 bar was the very bar of the low of the day. So what a great position to be taking a long trade off the very bar of the low of the day, and the result was a nice 4.2 hour profit. So that was just a great example of a particular one of my favorite trade setups in the MTPredictor software, which is the VSA setup. And again, the reason I like it is because it gets you in the direction of the professional money. And as you can see, that allows you to buy bottoms and sell tops very, very often indeed. As just a PS on this particular video, it's amazing how many people say that Elliott wave patterns don't tend to work in the markets. Well, they don't tend to work all the time, and that's the mistake made by many Elliott wave gurus. The best way to use them is in isolation, and that's why I've developed my unique isolation approach over the last 27 years. And I just want to show you an example here. And as you can see, here's the low of the day. The market rallied up here, but it rallied up in, if we look at the Elliott wave going up to this high here, it actually rallied in a nice 5-wave sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The high came in right at the minimum wave 5 WPT. From our MTPredictor training, we know that once a wave 5 high is complete, then the market tends to retrace back to the DP from the prior wave 4. Again, DPs are on the chart in advance, so you'd have gone back to the prior wave 4, place the DP on. That would have been a potential support level that you'd have known in advance before the market even got there. As you can see, the market went down to that level very nicely where it reversed. It reversed and started to rally up. Where did it rally up to? Well, again, our DP levels are great for this. We placed the DP level of the prior wave 5 high, which was there. Again, remember that would have been on the chart in advance. Market rallied up into that DP level where a high was made before you got the decline into the close. In other words, that actually caught the very high of the day. So I just want to show you that if you use MTPredictor's isolation approach to Elliott wave and understand that Elliott wave is only applicable on the charts about half the time, then you can actually uncover some great patterns. And as you can see here, the rally up here was a perfect 5-wave sequence. Decline into the DP from the prior wave 4, just as we teach, then a rally up into the DP from the prior swing pivot high. Unfolded absolutely perfectly and exactly as we teach in our MTPredictor training classes. But that's not the main reason I wanted to do the video today. The main reason for the video today was this VSA setup here that basically nailed the low of the day on the ES, and the result was a lovely 4.2 hour profit. The ES wasn't the only market that had this. If we look at the YM, exactly the same as well. There's the it also had a DP buy setup, but this also was a VSA buy as well, because that bar there, which again was the 1118 bar, same as the ES, made a nice new low below this previous low here. There's the high volume spike on the volume chart. Let's place the analysis on that DP bar as well. Market then rallies up into the first target, this time for a nice 4.7 hour profit. So on the YM you caught the very bar of the low of the day, and on the ES you did exactly the same. So a couple of very nice trade setups there on the ES and the YM in particular, where this was a VSA trade setup, and again that's one of my favorite trade setups because it gets you in the direction of the professional money, and that's always the best place to be, riding on the coattails of the professionals rather than doing what the amateurs do, because we know that most amateurs lose money most of the time. So a great example of not only an automatic MTPredictor trade setup, but also backed up by professional buying volume.